San Antonio is a very old city. We say we're over 300 years old, but in fact, people have been living here consistently for more than 10,000 years. Hi, my name is Sarah Gould. I'm Interim Executive Director of the Mexican American Civil Rights Institute and a longtime member of the Westside Preservation Alliance. In my professional life, I'm a historian, and over the years, I've become quite familiar with and quite a protector of, a promoter of Westside history. And pretty much anywhere you go in San Antonio, history is all around you. Some of that history is really well known among locals and visitors alike. Some of that history is not very well known. Some of that history is perhaps disappearing because it hasn't been shared. I'd like to share a little story about a space that's just a stone's throw from here, at the corner of El Paso and Richter Street. There used to be a place called the Cardenas Drugstore. And in 1921, between September 9th and September 10th, there was a massive flood. The San Antonio River flooded, and then all the little creeks that connect to the river flooded, including the Alazan Creek. When the Alazan Creek flooded, there were hundreds of little wooden houses along the sides of the creek that shattered from the strong floodwaters that came ripping through the neighborhood. It was like suddenly being in the middle of a rapids. Those houses shattered, throwing people out of their beds. The flood hit in the middle of the night, throwing people out of their beds. And so people were pummeled while being tossed around in the floodwaters. Here on the west side, we lost close to 50 lives. The aftermath of that flood included, of course, searching for missing people. They had a relief center at Cardenas Grocery, handing out tents, coffee, clothes, sandwiches. The devastation on the west side was just enormous. This year will be the centennial of that flood. I had been hoping to get a state historical marker at the former site of the Cardenas drugstore. It's a competitive process. We did not get the marker, but it made me think about, well, what are some other ways we can work to acknowledge history like that? History that's not necessarily well known today and yet had a huge impact on the city. And so I'm really happy to say that when I went to the Office of Historic Preservation to talk about what are some other ways we can approach this, they were really open to the idea of an alternative marker program. We have this really neat opportunity with the Office of Historic Preservation to recognize, even put a marker on local places that may not be well known, but in fact have some important history there. So that program is launching and it's open to the public. So this is really exciting. This is like a crowdsourced project. You can submit your idea for a place where something happened that you think is important. So I encourage you to check out the application information on the Office of Historic Preservation's website and see if you have a story to share. There's so much history here and people love to learn about these things. I encourage you to share your story.